Welcome tonight to the Widener University Delaware Law School information session. My name is Carly Gardner. I am the Assistant Dean of Admissions here at Delaware Law School. In addition to my role in admissions, I'm also a very proud Delaware Law alum and a practicing attorney. So I am extremely happy to see so many people here in the room who are interested in law school, interested in possibly Delaware law as their home for law school. I'm really excited to have this conversation tonight to help you learn more about both of those things. So our goals here tonight are to chat about Delaware Law School, give you an introduction to our programs, our community, and then we're going to switch gears and talk about the application process. I know many of you are at various stages of the application process, whether it's for this cycle or for a future cycle. So we want to make sure that we give you the information that you need. We will take a pause after each of those kind of big topics for questions. But if at any point you have questions throughout, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm joined here by my colleagues from the admissions office, who I will introduce in a moment, but they will be helping me out, facilitating the chat, answering your questions. And then certainly when it's time for questions, I would hope that anyone who wants to unmute or raise your hand to jump in can feel free and feel comfortable to do so. We want to make sure, again, that you get all your questions answered and that this is helpful for each and every one of you. So with that, I'm going to get started, and we're going to first talk about Delaware Law School, my favorite topic. Right. So as I mentioned, I was going to introduce our admissions team. Um, Folks who are on the call with me tonight are Eric Niskern, who is our Executive Director of Recruitment and Enrollment Initiatives, Steve Fiduk, who is our Director of Admissions, and Heather Hope Curavilla, who is our Admissions Counselor. Not here tonight, but a very important member of our team, and one that you probably dealt with if you called our office, is Haley Redding. She's our Admissions Operations Specialist. So this is the Delaware Law School admissions team. Again, we hope that tonight we answer a lot of your questions, but we wanted to just put some faces to names. If you ever need to reach out, connect with us. We're always happy to help, and always happy to guide you along in your law school journey. So I want to start out introducing you to kind of where we're located, because we really are in the thick of it. Delaware Law School is located in Wilmington, Delaware. You see us here on this map, kind of right smack in the middle of a bunch of states, which is really great, advantageous for our students. It gives them access to all kinds of legal markets, and great towns and cities. We are 20 minutes from our undergraduate institution, that's Widener University in Chester, Pennsylvania. We are about 45-50 minutes from Philadelphia. We are about 2 to 2.5 hour drive to New York City, 1.5 hour ride to Baltimore, and about a 2 to 3 hour drive to Washington, D.C. We are also easily accessible to a lot of these places by Amtrak line. We're very lucky to have a train right here in Wilmington, Delaware. So again, just want to give you a sense of where we're located, and I think it's important to start there because a big part of who we are is our location here in this region, and the significance of this region. So Wilmington, Delaware is kind of the corporate hub of the United States. Over 60% of Fortune 500 companies are incorporated here. A lot of really important cases, many of them you probably read about in the news, coming through our courts. And then certainly all of these legal markets that you see here on the screen. So many important things going on in those legal communities, and our students, as students at Delaware Law School, have access to all of these places. We also have a few enrollment options I want to make sure you all know before we kind of dive deeper into our programs. We have what we call our regular division. This is our full-time program that meets during the day and takes 3 years to complete. And then we have our extended division, which is our part-time program, meets all in the evening, and takes 4 years to complete. We also have a few dual degree programs, one of which is our JD MBA. You can do this as a part-time or a full-time student. Usually takes 4 to 5 years total to get both of these degrees in a shorter amount of time than if you had tried to do them separately. The other dual degree program is our JD MPH. Also, you can do this as a part-time or full-time student. This one varies a little bit, anywhere from 3 to 7 years, again, to complete both degrees together. And really, what these dual degree programs allow you to do is to take classes that count for your credits, both towards your JD and that other master's degree, so that you can do this in a shorter amount of time. We tell students about this when they're looking at us, for law school, so they understand their options, their enrollment options. But this is not something you have to be, set on when you apply to us. In fact, for both programs, you do have to complete the first year of legal study before you apply to tack on that extra program. But I did want folks to know that we do have these opportunities. And then we have a really unique enrollment option that I want, to make sure everyone here on the call knows about, and to give you more details. We have what's called our trial admission program. This is a conditional admissions program designed for students who maybe don't meet the standard admissions criteria. And what I mean by that is they've struggled with one of the academic indicators for success for law school, which is the undergraduate GPA and the LSAT. And so this program gives opportunities to students who otherwise show potential in their law school application to do the work. And we give them the opportunity to take a 5-week course in the summer. You're taking first year courses. Um, it's all at night. It's usually virtual so that we can kind of expand access and opportunity for folks. And if you're successful at the end of the program, we give you admission into the law school with the rest of the incoming class in the fall. There's no special application for this. I know we're going to touch on this when we pivot to the application process, but no special application for this. Every student to the law school is automatically considered for this program if we can't offer them admission. So a few unique pathways and unique enrollment options for you to consider. But then I kind of want to talk about a few things that I think when you're considering law school and maybe considering Delaware Law School, maybe why you should, things I want you to be thinking about. And one is our generous scholarship program. So we have merit-based awards that are awarded at the time of admission. These are, as the name suggests, based on the merit that is demonstrated, the achievement demonstrated in your application. They are renewable, I should say, for each year that you're in good standing at the law school. Um, so I think that's just something, again, good to know when you're looking at law schools, and to know that we have additional scholarship opportunities once you're a returning student. So we have returning student scholarships that are donor funded, made possible because of our donors and friends of the law school. And these are scholarships that you apply for once you are a student here. So this is probably my favorite part of this presentation is why Delaware Law School, because now you kind of have an understanding of what your enrollment options are, what your financial aid options, or what that picture looks like. But really, what I think is my favorite thing about this school is the programs and the skills-based training and opportunities that we have to offer students. So I want to talk a little bit about those. Because as screen says, before you become a lawyer, you're already work and think like one. That is really what we are aiming for. That's our goal here. We want you to be practice ready. And so we do that in a number of ways. So our signature programs are the first way that we would do that. So before I kind of run through them, and I know I have the first one up here, the signature programs, unlike undergrad, in law school, you don't have to declare a major. You don't have to just follow a specific path. But if you do have an area of expertise, something you're interested in, you want to focus on, we have these signature programs that we like to think of more as roadmaps or blueprints for you to follow so that you can become an expert in this field. The beauty of the signature programs is you can kind of pick and choose from a lot of these, but these are really the areas, the things that we do best. So we lean into them and kind of help our students tailor their education toward those. So the first is our Institute of Delaware Corporate and Business Law. As I mentioned kind of earlier in this presentation, we are sitting in the corporate hub of America. So business law certainly is a big one for us. And this institute allows students to tailor their education to that interest. We also, oh, I went too far. skipped over one of our big ones. The Tayshoff Advocacy Technology and Public Service Institute. This one is really designed for anyone who wants to be a litigator, civil or criminal. We make sure that you have the skills, both in terms of, advocacy, but also the technology you're going to need in the courtroom to properly advocate for your client. And we have a lot of students who come through here who go on to be litigators, who take from this signature program, and it's just extremely helpful. Next is our Global Environmental Rights Institute. So students who are interested in environmental issues, environmental justice, this is a great program for those folks. Our Family Health Law and Policy Institute, this is a really unique one that allows or offers a lot of opportunities at the intersection of family and health law, both in terms of advocacy and representation, but also policymaking and shaping. And then our Dignity Rights Institute. So this is, I believe, the first of its kind in the country. It's certainly very, very unique and a great opportunity for students who are interested in dignity rights, which is really just another term for human rights. And this program really offers you a lot of opportunities, again, both whether it's representational or policy shaping, policy advocating, all of those things. There's lots of opportunities for you to explore that and become an expert in this, very important field. So another way that we make sure you're practice ready is our experiential learning opportunities. And really, this is our practical skills, our hands-on training. You are getting up and doing what a lawyer would do. So we have a lot of opportunities for you to gain those skills. One of those ways is through our clinics. These are in-house opportunities. So you, as a student, usually an upper level student, as a clinic student, you are supervised by one of our faculty, staff attorneys, and you get to work on real cases for real clients. And certainly you are supported by those faculty and staff attorneys, but you are the lead attorney on your case. So it's a really, really great opportunity for you to get the skills and the training that you need so that you are ready on day one when you leave us. And so up on the screen, you'll see we have several clinics. We're really proud to have so many offerings in so many different areas. And all of these clinics are helping people who otherwise couldn't afford legal representation. So it's really a great opportunity for you to build skills, but also for you to contribute to the community, help folks in need in varying areas of law. And hopefully, if you don't see something up here, that's of interest, you'll still consider them because, so many of these programs, or excuse me, these clinics allow you to build transferable skills. You could take something that you learned from the Veterans Law Clinic and easily apply that to, perhaps a criminal practice that you want to pursue when you leave. And there's all kinds of opportunities here within the clinics, both, for those who want to be in the courtroom, for those who want to work, more in a transactional sense or brief advocacy based. So lots of different opportunities. You'll notice there's ED next to a few of them. That's a note for our evening division program that these are ones that are suitable for those folks who might need more flexibility, but they are certainly open. All of them are open to anyone who is interested. So just some stats here. I mentioned our Veterans Law Clinic. We have recovered over $18 million in disability benefits for our veterans. So that's something we're very proud of. Each of our clinic has stats like this that we boast, but I just wanted to give you kind of a feel and a flavor for the impact you can make as a clinic student. And then certainly we're top ranked for trial advocacy, criminal law, and environmental law. And hopefully that comes through in our signature programs and the clinics that I just mentioned, those offerings. Another way that we make sure that students have hands-on training and opportunities to build your professional skills is through our externship program. We have a public interest externship program, a judicial externship program, something unique called the Walcott Fellowship, which I'll explain in a minute, and our Family Health Law and Policy Institute externships. So all of these opportunities, think of these more as out of house, right? So in-house with the clinics, those are with our faculty and our staff. The externships are with our partners in the community, in judges' chambers, in local prosecutor's office, with healthcare systems, so that you can get academic credits and skills. You just get to kind of go out into the community, into these different spaces. So we have over 150 placements between all of these. All really great opportunities to build skills, but also to build your network. A lot of these externships turn into jobs after law school, and are just really great ways for you to build your network of attorneys. I want to call out the Walcott Fellowship that I mentioned here and that you see here. This is an incredibly prestigious opportunity that is only available to Delaware law students. What it is it's an opportunity for 10 Delaware law students to clerk for either the Delaware Supreme Court or the Delaware Court of Chancery. And for those of you who don't know, those are two of probably the most consequential and influential courts just below the Supreme Court. They're really, really important, really, really great opportunities, seeing really important cases. And our students have a front row seat to that if they are chosen to be Walcott Fellows. Again, that's an opportunity that is only available to our law students. So really unique, something that even if you're not interested in practicing in Delaware, that is something that everyone across the country recognizes those courts, and it's really just something that's a great foundation for your legal career. And so for our externships, as I mentioned, a lot of these turn into jobs after law school, which is really so great because again, it's a two for one. You're building skills, you're helping people in the community through cases that these judges or that these prosecutors or public defenders are seeing, but you're also, able to build a network that you can call on when you're ready to take the next step after law school, in your professional career. We're actually ranked third nationwide for state and local clerkship placements. That's something we're very proud of. Externships in law school turn into these clerkships. These clerkships turn into really just phenomenal careers going forward. So something we're really proud of and then we showcase. And then, as I mentioned, the Delaware Supreme Court and the Delaware Court of Chancery, really great opportunities for students to see kind of up close. They hear over 1,000 cases. The Delaware Court of Chancery, that is, hears over 1,000 cases a year. So much coming through their court that our students get to have a front row seat at, whether that's through an externship program with one of the many justices in Delaware or around, the state, or through the Walcott Fellowship, which is really just phenomenal. Another thing you want to consider when you're thinking about law school is the community you're joining. It's really important to find a place that you feel like you belong and a place that you're going to be supported. And so our, career development, alumni network, and mentorship programs are all things that we're really proud of, and we think are really important for students to know about. Law school is hard, but we are here to support you. We have tons of resources. And so we always like to tell students about those resources to make sure that they can take full advantage of them. The first is our Career Development Office, which we call CDO. They are great about helping connect you to jobs, whether it's over the summer while you're in law school, whether it's after you graduate. Throughout law school, they are hosting all of the on-campus and off-campus interview programs, bringing employers to you, connecting you to them. They also do a number of workshops, networking panels, and events, all the things that you need to make sure your resume, your writing sample, even your interview skills are on point so that you can get the job that you want. They also have a mentorship program that will match you with an alum. Usually they try to match you by either geographic area of interest for practice or area of interest if you know what field kind of you want to be in. So lots of great resources through CDO. And I always tell students, visit with them early and often because they are absolutely here to help you. And then our Office of Student Affairs, which we call OSA, they've got a lot of great resources for your well-being as a student, but also as a person. So that's where our academic success programs are housed. So if you need extra support, let's say you need a tutor or you're having trouble with some of your legal writing, you need extra help, they have programs and support for students. They also have wellness resources. We have a counselor because again, we're concerned with you as a student, but also as a person, and want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in every way. Also in our Office of Student Affairs is our Bar Success Program. So if you get a chance to meet our dean of our law school, which if you're joining us for an upcoming in-person event, you will hear it. He is really committed to making sure that you pass the first time you take the bar. And one of the ways we do that is through our Bar Success Program, which is woven into the curriculum and the culture here. So they are part of the Office of Student Affairs. So just lots and lots of resources through the Office of Student Affairs, advisors, academic advisors, um, candy, can't be overlooked. So want to make sure that you're aware that we have these resources, that people are there for you, and that you take advantage of them. And then I mentioned, the alumni mentorship program, but we also have peer mentorship programs. One of those is through the Office of Student Affairs and through our Student Bar Association, who works very closely with them. But also we have tons of, I'll say, more informal mentorship programs. All of our student organizations have these mentee mentor programs that will match you with upper level students so that you can get a chance to learn from someone who has just walked this path, which, I think it's great. We have a lot of first generation students here who don't know any attorneys, and by the end of your time here, you will know tons of attorneys, and you'll have tons of mentors. And then when you do graduate, you will join this wonderful, wonderful, supportive alumni network of, we have 2,000 plus alumni practicing in Delaware alone, and 13,000 plus alumni across the country and around the world. We are everywhere. Certainly, we have a lot of folks who come to us from PA, New Jersey, Delaware, New York, Maryland, and who end up going back to those jurisdictions to practice. But we are all over the place, and all over the country. So it's good to be part of a supportive network, one that has a wide reach. And I really can tell you, and I'm not just saying this because I am an alum, but really some of the most supportive, helpful people you'll ever meet. And then obviously, something that's important, and hopefully we can give you a sense of it in this presentation, but I strongly encourage you to get to know any school you're considering, including us, by meeting some of our students, sitting in on a class, doing all the things that you can do to get the sense of the community. But I want to give you a sense of who we are, what our student body kind of looks like. So you'll see some facts and figures up here to give you a sense. These are the stats for our 2025 incoming class. 80% first generation law students, 38% diverse, coming from 20 different states. Like I said, we're from all over. 52% female and 128 undergraduate institutions. So really, really vibrant campus with a lot of different perspectives, experiences that are all going to make the classroom experience just better for you. Obviously, we want you to work hard in class, but there are also lots of opportunities to build skills outside of, those academic settings. And that could be through our honor societies, or through our student orgs, who those are also great ways to network. So we have 5 honor societies. You'll see them up here. Those are our Delaware Journal of Corporate Law and our Widener Law Review. Those are our 2 legal publications and, honors um, programs, if you will. Those are great opportunities for students to build their research, writing, editing skills, but again, also to just to network and just keep building up. Like I said, that group of mentors and attorneys that you know. We also have a transactional law society. Which is pretty unique. That allows students to do negotiation-based competitions. They're really fun. We just set up the courtrooms a little bit differently. So if that's something you're interested in, that is something that's there for you. And our Moot Court Honor Society. So that is more oral advocacy based, as well as brief advocacy based. These are opportunities for students who meet a certain GPA requirement. So that's why I said it's so important to do the best you can in class so you can unlock these opportunities. But any student can join any of the 20 plus student orgs that we have, and they range. Some of them are academic focused, some of them are affinity based, some of them are just social. So you have to find what works for you and what you kind of need in your law school experience. But I promise you that there's likely something for you. And if it doesn't exist, we encourage you to create it. Our Student Bar Association is, are great leaders on campus and always looking for ways to have students be more engaged. And so if that means there's something that we don't have, we welcome students to bring new perspective and a new group to campus. So that is the short and quick. And I know it wasn't so short, but I could go on probably all night about all the things that you need to know about Delaware law. But I will take a pause here so we can give time to my colleague Eric, who's going to talk about the admissions process and the application components. But at this point, are there any questions that anybody has about Delaware law specifically that we can answer now? Yeah, I see Amber is raising her hand. Go ahead, Amber. You can unmute and just jump in.
Hello. Uh, I saw that you guys had a mock trial, like class in January, if I'm correct. I was wondering if that was something that you guys did monthly, like an in-person mock.
Oh, yeah, yes, we are having a mock class.
Yeah.
We are yes, yeah. So we're hoping that anybody here tonight, we're interested in our learning about our programs, learning about our application. And then Saturday is supposed to give everyone an opportunity to see kind of law school in action. It's a mock for those of you who haven't seen the invite yet. It's going to be a mock class taught by the dean of the law school. He's an incredibly dynamic professor. I wish I had been taught contracts by him. So he's going to be doing a mock class. We'll do tours, and then we'll be doing a student panel. We don't have any future after that date. We don't have any other mock classes scheduled yet, as of yet. What I can say is if you are interested in sitting in on a class, let's say you can't make it on Saturday, although I hope you can. You can always email our office and we can try to get you into a class, perhaps a live class. The difference there being is, you might not exactly know, the materials, and there might be other students who are answering things who have been in the class for the semester, but we can arrange that if that's something, if you're not able to join us on Saturday.
Thank you.
That said, you do not want to miss Dean Clark. He does not teach this semester, so if you come to us in the spring for a class, I can't get you into the dean's class. He doesn't have one. This is it. So if you can make it, that we definitely encourage it. See Kaya.
Yes, I had a question on in terms of like the public interest program. So I was wondering, is there any besides the externship, is there any like scholarship for people that are interested in public interest law?
Yeah, so we the Public Interest Resource Center is really just the place where we house all of the opportunities, programs, projects related to public interest and pro bono service. Um, so so that is open to any student. It could be a one-off. You could do, we have sometimes we'll do wills for first responders. That's like a weekend event, or there's some longer term projects that you work on. So those are opportunities that are there for you through that. If you're looking more for, you want to pursue a career in public interest, we definitely have a lot of classes and things as part of the curriculum that'll help you build those skills. So I would say it's a mix of both. And then in terms of scholarship opportunities for public interest or any area of law, while our incoming scholarships are merit based, there are some scholarships for returning students that do have a component of them that is, a demonstrated interest and commitment to, let's say, public interest or public service. So those are definitely opportunities you'll want to check out when you're a student. We usually are emailing folks reminding you of those opportunities. And so you want to make sure you just look at the criteria because there are some opportunities there. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it did. Thank you. And I also have one more question.
Sure, sure.
Um, So, like, okay, if we are admitted into the law school, is there a limit on like how many clinics we can do, or do we have to stay, work at one clinic?
Yeah, I would say most students generally are only doing one, and not because we necessarily limit you there, but just the amount of time you're going to have. So our clinics are usually for our upper level students. You do have to take some prerequisite courses in order to be able to represent clients. So it's really not something that's available to students until their third year if they're full time, or end of third year into your fourth year as a part-time student. And so because of that, it's a timing thing, and you only need 90 credits to graduate. So you could take more clinical opportunities if you want to try to go for it, but it's really a matter of time. That said, I do know students who do both a clinic and an externship, who do maybe a different clinic each semester. It's really up to you. And it's certainly up to, how much space we have in each of the clinics. I know our associate dean of experiential learning, she's really great to work with. And while there are caps for each of these clinics, I've never known somebody to not get an opportunity to get hands-on training if they want it. We usually work with those folks.
Thank you. That was all my questions.
Yeah, sure. I see Mary, Catherine, and then Kair, unless it was the other way around. So whoever ever wants to jump in and ask your question first, I'm happy to take it.
I'll go first. I just
Okay.
first wanted to say thank you so much for hosting this.
Sure.
My one question has to be with the clinics. So specifically, one of my interests with Widener was the fact that there is the veterans kind of clinic, but I'm also like interested in like the innocence projects. Are there classes that can like what's the word? I know in undergrad it's kind of like finding, oh, my camera, sorry. They kind of have different classes that you can go towards like different majors or something like that. Is there something similar if you can do a specific clinic or type thing like that? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, so the way that law school works is there are core courses you have to take. They're required for the bar, and really for your first year, you're taking the same classes that everyone is across the country at all ABA law schools. But after you take those core courses, you get to decide what you take and fill with all of those electives that you want to take. And so if you are interested in, let's say, the Innocence project, but you don't want to take it as a, you don't want to do it as a clinic, you can take some upper level criminal law classes. Some of them are actually taught by the clinic director. She is also a professor teaching other topics. So yes, there's opportunities for that. If it's something you're interested in the area of law, but you don't want to be in a clinic or don't want to represent clients necessarily, yes, we have coursework for all kinds of things. It changed, the courses change, electives change every semester. So you would just want to be looking at what's offered in the fall and the spring or what you're interested in. But through our Office of Student Affairs, which is where you'll get your academic advisor, they are a great resource for this kind of stuff, for helping kind of chart out, this is what I'm interested in. What experiences do you think, does this sound good? So that's definitely something that they can help guide you on. But the short answer is yes, there are other opportunities.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And Kair, am I saying your name right?
Yes, you're saying my name correctly. It's
Perfect. Perfect. Go
Kair.
ahead.
And thank you. So my question, I have two questions actually.
Hmm.
So the first question being for any current or past students that were interested in IP law or privacy law,
Hmm.
what opportunities are there specifically for them in place?
Hmm. Yeah, so I kind of feel like this piggybacks a little bit off of the last question. We have elective coursework in that area. Obviously, um, IP, privacy, AI, all of those things in the law are ever evolving, right? And we always need attorneys in those fields. So we do have elective coursework. I'm not sure what's being offered this semester, for example.
Okay.
But there is elective coursework. And then I would also say that this is where I think it's so important to find, the community that you all are interested in, because we have a really great intellectual property student group on campus, and they have actually done a lot of great work to bring more electives to campus. They also bring attorneys to campus for networking events, for panel discussions, for events. So I would say that, that's definitely something. We have a lot of students here who are interested in that area, and who are part of that group. So that's another great network of people. And they're also plugged into all of our alums who do that work, which is kind of great. So I would say it's a combination of elective credit curriculum and um, kind of some of the work our student orgs do. And then there's also the opportunity through some of these externships. You work for a judge in one of these complex commercial litigation areas. You may see some really sophisticated IP stuff coming across the bench. Again, I think that's a great opportunity to talk with faculty, talk with your advisors. You know, who should I be eyeing up as a judge if I want to see these kinds of cases? Because I think that's a great opportunity to see it from a different perspective. I see two more hands. We'll do Maya, and then I see
I still
see.
had a second question.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry. Go
sorry.
ahead.
So my second question was regarding, since I'm a certified information professional, I
Okay.
work for general counsel,
Hmm.
and we utilize AI often within our office space. I'm curious to know how Delaware law is utilizing AI within the classrooms.
That's a great question. And I know that I was recently at a presentation for one of our faculty talking about some of these issues and how they are all focused on training you all to be able to use AI in your practice because it is such a big part of practice and prompting and starting your legal research. So I know that that's something I think that comes up probably mostly in your legal methods classes rather than the doctrinal ones. Although I'm sure our faculty are incorporating, and I just haven't been in a class yet to see it. So it's definitely something that is top of mind for our faculty and something that is already kind of being incorporated into, particularly in our into the legal methods instruction, because it really is such a big part of that. Um, I hope that gives you at least a sense of what's going on here.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so I see two more hands we're going to go with, and then in the interest of time, I'm gonna we're gonna switch gears. We can always circle back for this. So I have Maya and then C Angelucci. So we'll do those two.
Thank you. So you mentioned that there was a GPA requirement for the five honor societies. When are
Mhm.
you allowed to join these? After the first semester, or is this something that you join in your second or third year?
That's a great question. So it's these are usually your applying for membership after your first year. And that's for a few reasons. One is we really want you to focus on those first year classes before you start taking on too much. But also, you're able to make more meaningful contributions to those programs and really get more out of them when you have the foundation. So, for moot court, for transactional law, it's I think you get notified when you get spring grades that you're eligible to apply, and then you kind of start right in the fall. And for the journal and law review, that actually starts in the summer right after you get your spring grades. So your all students are invited if they meet the criteria to write on in the summer. Um, and so you can join from there. I know that there are opportunities, at least for moot court and transactional law, to play a kind of non-membership role in some of their competitions. You know, you may be someone who works the desk or as a bailiff or something like that, so you can see it. But as far as membership is concerned, you do have to wait till after your first year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then the last, but certainly not least,
Hi,
yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
Um, Chris. But
Oh,
great
Chris. Okay,
question.
great.
I think you kind of talked about it in terms of utilizing electives. But one more thing to note in terms of the location is so ideal being that close to Philly, which is one of the main medical hubs in the country. 50% of all physicians have trained in the city of Philadelphia at some point in their career.
That doesn't surprise me, but I did not know that, but
Um,
that doesn't surprise me.
yes. So, I have worked in the medical field the past 10 years. I will be looking at the part-time program and have a specific interest within medical malpractice, and utilizing that. Are there electives? I know that that's not something that you've mentioned for the externship, but what kind of ways have you pivoted to help prospective students, enrolled students kind of go into that way?
So go into the health profession or
Medical malpractice.
medical malpractice. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will say just anecdotally, I know we have a lot of, again, trial attorneys who end up or they become trial attorneys. A lot of them are working in a medical malpractice field or kind of some similar professional liability, defense. So I think there's lots of ways that we do that. And I think it's a combination of some of the electives that are um, I should say, encouraged through the Family Health Law and Policy Institute and the Trial Advocacy one. There's a lot of overlap there and a lot of things that, if you kind of look at that blueprint, there are classes and maybe opportunities in the clinics or externships that we recommend that help you get that training that you need.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, well, those were great questions, and I don't want to cut anybody off, but I do want to give my colleague Eric Niskern a chance here to give his part of the presentation, which is very important. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric.
Great. Thank you so much, Dean Gardner. I don't have access to move the slides yet, though. You have to give up your access. And then we can go.
I do not have do not have access.
Oh, I think it just switched over to me.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
You're seeing behind the scenes, everyone. We're just seeing behind the scenes.
There we go. So First of all, good evening, everybody. I will do my best to cover the application process as quickly as possible to get as close to the 7 o'clock time frame. So we're going to hold questions until the end, and hopefully I'll answer most of your questions in the presentation. But I'm going to talk about the way that we review applications, the components of the application, and how you can put your best foot forward in each part of the application, and then a little bit more about the application timelines. You have a sense of how we move the applications through the process. So obviously, things like a strong academic record are going to be very, very important in the way that we review applications. But please understand that our process is very holistic. We look at everything that you submit as part of your application, and all of it goes into the decision that the committee is making. So yes, having strong grades is very important in both undergraduate and graduate study. Those are both things that we look at. But anything that you include as part of your application will be part of the decision that we're making. We understand that we admit people, not numbers. So obviously things like an LSAT score, a good GPA are going to be very helpful, but it's really the entire application that goes into whether or not you'll ultimately be admitted or denied. And we pride ourselves in being a very diverse law school. So there are many ways that you can incorporate the way that you would add to the diversity of the legal profession into your application. And we'll talk about all of that. So there are two kinds of application components. The first are the required components. These are things that must be met in order to be considered for admission to Delaware Law School. And we're going to talk about those first: the bachelor's degree, the standardized test requirement, the personal statement, and character and fitness. And then we will talk about the second group, which are the optional parts of the application. So first is the bachelor's degree, which is required. You must have a bachelor's degree before you begin classes at Delaware Law School. One thing that I think surprises a lot of people is that there is no specific major that you must have in order to be considered for admission. A lot of our students, probably about a third of our incoming students, come from some of the more traditional academic backgrounds. Political science, criminal justice are very popular. But we have, I think this year's first year class, there were about 60 majors represented. So we have English, history majors, we have a variety of business, management majors because of our strong corporate law program and our location in Delaware. We bring a lot of STEM majors into the law school, students from the arts. So it's very diverse in terms of the undergraduate concentrations that they're coming from. If you're somebody who's currently in school and thinking about applying to law school after graduation, and you're concerned about what kind of classes you should be taking, we recommend taking any courses that are writing or reading intensive. So much of what you'll be doing in law school will be writing and really, really complex reading comprehension. So if those are skills that you feel maybe could be stronger, those are the kind of courses that I think will best prepare you for law school. The way that we look at your transcripts, you are going to be more than just that cumulative grade point average. So certainly that gives us some idea of where you fall within the confines of our applicant pool. But we are going to get copies of all of your transcripts. You have to submit all of your undergraduate transcripts. And if you have attended graduate school or earned a graduate degree or beyond a doctorate degree, we want to look at those transcripts as well. So we're going to take a deep dive. We're going to look at grade trends. So the hope is that you've challenged yourself and you, from freshman year to senior year, you're not constantly taking 100 level courses. You're building upon the skills and information that you've already learned. We're going to look at your major GPA because that also gives us a really good sense of what you may be capable of in law school. If you've attended more than one school, so let's say you started at community college and then transferred into a four-year school, or transferred from one school to the other for any reason, all of those transcripts you must submit, and all of them will be part of the review process. The second required portion of the application is the standardized test. There are three options for standardized tests. The preferred option, and the one that the majority of our applicants take, is the LSAT, the Law School Admissions Test. This is the only standardized test that was designed specifically to be used for purposes of law school admission. And so it is our preferred LSAT, our preferred standardized test. It is offered multiple times a year, and you can go to the Law School Admission Council's website or lsac.org to look at when it is offered, but it is offered, I think, 8 times now throughout the course of the year. You can take it in person or you can take it online. It's entirely up to you. And a lot of people ask us if you take it more than once, how is that reviewed? If you have multiple scores, all of those scores will be sent to us and we will consider all of them, but we do tend to put greater weight on your highest score. If you see a big discrepancy in scores, so either you went up significantly or down significantly, and when I say significantly, I'm talking more than probably 3 to 5 points, you might consider including an addenda with your application, and we'll talk a little bit later about what addendum are and how to use them in your application. But most of our applicants will take the LSAT as part of to satisfy the standardized test requirement. There are 2 other options, though. The first is JD Next, which is a fairly new program. I think we're in our 3rd year now of accepting JD Next scores. And this is for people who have determined that the LSAT is not the best way for them to show us their skill sets and believe that the JD Next program is a better way for it. It is a free program. They do have a test at the end and you are given a score. The organization that actually runs the program is Aspen Publishing. And so when you finish the program and receive your score, you can direct Aspen to send your score report directly to our law school. Now, it's important to note that this is for people who have decided that the LSAT is not for them or not the best way for them to shine. If you have taken the LSAT and have a reportable score, then you are considered an LSAT applicant. So the JD Next is truly an alternative to the LSAT. It's not something in addition to or instead of. The other standardized test avenue is the GRE. And it works just sort of like the JD Next. If you decide that the GRE is a better predictor for you than what the LSAT may be based upon your research, you can take the GRE instead of the LSAT. But again, if you have taken the LSAT, that will be the standardized test score that we consider as part of our decision. There are some requirements that have to be met for the GRE, and you can actually visit our website to learn more about it. We can only take a maximum of 10% of our incoming class with the GRE. So once we reach that limit, we're no longer able to accept anybody else with a GRE score. But these, again, are avenues for people who have determined based upon their own personal research that the LSAT is not the right standardized test for them and believe that their skill sets can shine better in one of these alternative standardized tests. So you have 3 options. Keep in mind, again, if you have taken the LSAT and your score is a reportable score, then that's the score that we'll consider in your application. The personal statement is the required essay portion of the application. And for me, and I think for the other admissions professionals on the Zoom tonight, probably would agree, this is our favorite part of the application. This is the part that you have the most control over because you can tell your story in any format that you want. It's really a place for you to talk about the things that you think you bring to the table that maybe other applicants don't have. So people often talk about academic or professional skill sets that they possess that they think demonstrate a potential to succeed in law school. Oftentimes people will write their essay on why they want to attend law school, if there's a specific reason for wanting to attend law school, or maybe there was an event, positive or negative, in their lives that got them thinking about the law as a profession for them. You may want to talk about how you plan to use your law degree. If you're passionate about a particular area of law, there's a particular population that you're hoping to serve as an attorney, you're certainly welcome to tell that story as well. But this is really the sort of the soft skills portion of your application where you're adding to the grades, you're adding to the standardized test score. You're really sort of fleshing out your application and showing us the person behind the numbers, the motivation for wanting to go to law school, and the reasons why you believe you would be a strong law student and eventually an effective attorney. There are all kinds of things that I can talk about how to make a personal statement effective. These are some of the top tips. I think the most effective personal statements are the ones that are very concise and focused. So you want to avoid the life story personal statement where everything you can think of that's ever happened, you include in the story, and then hope that the admissions committee will pull out the things that are most important or most pertinent to the application. If you're really struggling with what to write about in your personal statement, a great starting point is to think about that one aspect of yourself, that personal characteristic, that skill set that you possess that you think makes you stand out. And then tell a story that illustrates that. So, for example, if what you want us to know is that you are somebody who thrives under pressure and remains calm in stressful situations, then you tell us a story where you did that. If you want us to know that you're a proven and effective leader, then tell us a story where your leadership shined through. Those tend to be more memorable because they are focused, and we can walk away from the story really understanding who you are and what you intended us to know about you. We recommend that you try to focus as much on the present and not so much on future goals. So certainly if there is a specific reason why you want to go to law school or a particular job that you're looking to have when you graduate, that can be a great opening paragraph. But then you want to go back and sort of talk about how you got there. You know, if you're passionate about environmental law, we want to know why. What was it in your background, personally or professionally, that led you down the path to thinking that environmental law is an area where you can affect change, or why it's something you care about? A question we always get is, well, how long should the personal statement be? Our recommendation is if you are finding it somewhere between the 2 to 3 double space page size, you're probably in the right space. If it's less than that, you may be missing an opportunity to give us some really helpful and pertinent information. If it's more than that, it's usually not because it's helpful information. It's typically more because the person hasn't done a lot of self-editing or it's not written very well. And again, being concise, having it well written, making sure it's the best presentation of you. Because in most cases, we haven't met you. We don't know anything about you other than what's in the four corners of your application. You want to make sure that the best you comes shining through in your personal statement. Character and fitness is the portion of the application that I always joke about where you have to tell us all the bad things. At Delaware Law School, we have one question, and it's right there on the screen. So the question we ask under character and fitness is, have you ever received an academic warning from or been placed on probation, disciplined, suspended, or dismissed by any learning institution or licensing board for any reason? So if you have to answer yes to that question, you are required to provide an additional statement along with your application explaining your yes answer. If you look closely, you'll notice that there's something missing from that question. We do not ask for your criminal history, so you are not required to provide that. If you are somebody who was system impacted and that is part of the why law school or part of the story that you want to share with us about why this is the right choice for you, you're certainly welcome to do that in your personal statement or other parts of your application. But we do not require that you disclose criminal history as part of the character and fitness portion of the application. Again, if you answer yes to this question, you want to make sure that you provide as much information as possible, dates, outcomes, be as honest as you can. But I think a lot of applicants miss the opportunity to provide more positive information here. So for instance, if you were placed on academic probation in college for a semester or a year for falling below a certain GPA, you have to provide us with that information. But it's an opportunity there to talk about maybe what you did to bring your grades back up. So whether it was seeking out additional tutoring, whether it was meeting with a counselor to come up with better study techniques, reprioritizing the things that were in your life so that you could focus more time on your studies, that story can be very, very helpful to the admissions committee and turn what may look like a negative to you in your application into something more positive. If you're unsure whether or not you should answer yes, you can always reach out to us. We can give you information. You can also go to the Board of Bar Examiners website. They have information about every state's bar exam questions. And so if this is something that you're unsure about whether or not you should be answering yes, there are different ways that you can check that. Honestly, the easiest thing is to reach out to our office and we can tell you whether or not you should include something. But typically, if you're thinking the answer should be yes, it probably should be, and we encourage you to disclose. The second group of components for the application are the optional parts. So the things that we just talked about, the bachelor's degree, the standardized test, personal statement, and character and fitness are all required. These next sections are all optional parts of the application. You don't have to submit them as part of your application. You won't be penalized for that. But 99.9% of the time when applicants include these in their application, they are value added and enhance the overall application. First is letters of recommendation. If you decide to submit them, we'll take a maximum of 3 letters of recommendation. You can ask anybody that you like. Typically, former professors, employers are the best choices. We're less interested in who they are and their status and position, and more interested in what they can tell us about you. So, for instance, if you are somebody who worked for, say, a congressperson or a judge, oftentimes that congressperson or judge may not be the best person to ask for the letter of recommendation. It's their chief of staff or the person working under them that you directly reported to, who may have been closer to your work and can give us a better evaluation of your capabilities. And that letter is going to be more helpful to us than the letter from the more high-ranking person who may not be able to provide as much personal information because they really didn't work closely with you or see a lot of your work product. I recommend talking to your proposed recommender first. Let them know that what you're doing. You're applying to law school. Ask them for a great letter recommendation. Provide them with additional information if they need it: a resume, transcript, a copy of your personal statement, so that the letter can be as strong as possible. And ultimately, they're going to write whatever they're going to write, but you can really help direct that by letting them know the reason you're asking them and what you hope they will think about including in their letter of recommendation. I find most cases recommenders are happy for that information because it really helps sort of direct them in the place that they need to go. A resume is also optional, but we find that it's very helpful. So if you have a resume, you should absolutely submit it as part of your application. It frees up space elsewhere in the application where you don't have to talk about what's included in your resume. You can focus, for instance, your personal statement on a story that is not included in the resume, or maybe flesh out something a little bit more, a job or volunteer experience from your resume that you think is particularly important and want us to zero in on. And a resume to law school looks different than a resume that you're applying for a job with. So typically, a job resume is limited to 1 page, and it's really focused on the particular qualifications that job is looking for. With law school, we want to know everything. So include all of your prior employment, any volunteer work that you've done, whether it's through school, whether it's outside of school. I like to see, hobbies, interests. Again, it just sort of paints a better picture of who you are as a person, and what's going on in your life while you're going to school or while you're working. So we can see, are you somebody who can juggle multiple responsibilities? Are you somebody who can handle stress? You can manage difficult conversations with people. All of those things are skills that any good attorney needs to have. So your resume doesn't have to look like the sort of strict resume that you would be using if you're applying for a job. As far as addenda, I mentioned that earlier. This is an optional essay if you feel there's a part of your application that needs a little bit more information so that we understand what we're looking at. I used earlier as an example, if you see a big discrepancy in your LSAT scores, you may want to talk about why there's a discrepancy. So again, we understand what we're looking at. People will often use it to talk about if their GPA dipped for a semester, for a year, or maybe they started at one school, didn't do as well as they would have liked, but transferred to another school and the grades were significantly better. It may be helpful for the committee to know why. So any part of your application that you feel needs a little bit more explanation is where you might consider including an addendum. You want to use them wisely. It's not something I recommend that you add to every part of your application, because then you move from looking like you're providing an explanation and more like providing a laundry list of excuses for poor performance. So really use them judiciously. And they look very different from a resume. They're usually a couple sentences to quickly explain something, maybe a paragraph. It can be something as simple as, in my sophomore year, spring semester, my grades dipped because I was dealing with an illness. And once I addressed it, I was able to increase my grades. Boom, done. That's enough information for us to understand those particular grades may not be the best indicator for us of what you're capable of under the best of circumstances. The enhancement statement is the second essay from the personal statement. Personal statement's required. This statement is optional. And this is really a space for information that you otherwise felt like you couldn't include in your application elsewhere. But it's important information to you and you want to make sure that we have that information. So again, oftentimes people are using the enhancement statement to share individual personal experiences, whether they were positive, inspirational stories. They may have themselves have been victims of discrimination and had to work through those those challenges, lessons learned from difficult circumstances. Those are all the kinds of things that people tend to write about. And their enhancement statements, again, same rules apply that do to a personal statement. They're more effective when they're concise, they're focused. They are a writing sample, so you want to make sure that they're well written as well. And you want to make sure that you don't just rewrite your personal statement. If it's not new information, then you don't feel like you have to include an enhancement statement. If there isn't one as part of your application, again, that's not something we'll penalize you for. So make sure that it's information that's new that we don't have otherwise in your application package. I'm going to skip that because we're running out of time and I want to make sure I cover all the information. The details of the application process, we are entirely paperless. So you apply through the Law School Admissions Council website. And once you submit your application, they will submit it to us electronically. We are a rolling admissions law school, so we don't wait until our application deadline to review applications. This year, our application opened on October 1st, and we began reviewing applications at the end of October for those that were ready to go and began making offers. So there are people who have already been offered admission for the fall of 2026, and we will continue to review applications until our seats are filled, which is typically before our deadline. We do typically charge a $60 application fee to apply. However, if you apply on or before February 1st this year, you don't have to pay that application. And it's just the application itself that has to be submitted. So if your application's ready to go, but let's say you're taking a future LSAT or you're still waiting on a letter of recommendation or a transcript, you can submit your application before February 1st, and we'll wait for that additional information to come in before making a decision. So again, you can save a little bit of money because you're about to start law school, which is very expensive. You can save $60 by submitting your application by February 1st. The deadline to apply is May 15th. As I said earlier, we are a rolling admissions law school, so I don't recommend waiting until May 15th. We typically are filled before that point, and for good applicants, we may place them on a wait list should a seat open up. So there is a risk involved if you wait until May 15th to apply, but the application will be open until then. But once your application is ready and you feel it is your best work, I would recommend submitting it right away. One point I want to mention, though, Dean Gardner mentioned earlier about the TAP program. That program fills up very quickly. It is relatively small, and so waiting until the application deadline, I can almost guarantee that you will not be considered for the TAP program. So if that's a program that you think you may qualify for or want to be considered for, the earlier you apply, the better chances you have of receiving an offer for the TAP program. I can almost with certainty say if you wait until May 15th, the program will be filled and you won't be considered for TAP. There's an easy way to check your application status. You can certainly call us, but that's not the easiest way to do it. You can actually do it on your own through the application status online checker that you can access through your account at LSAC or through our website. It's all in real time. So as your application moves from being received to being prepared for review to being sent to the committee for review, you can see it progress through that process. And then once a decision's made, whether it's an offer of admission, whether you're denied, waitlisted, or offered a seat in TAP, it will be posted through your online status application, a status checker first. We'll still communicate with you outside of that. But there are some people who can't wait. They want to know as soon as possible. And you can check that as often as you want to see. And if you feel like your application should be moving through the process and it's not, you're welcome to reach out to us. The online status checker, though, will let you know if your application's incomplete. It'll tell you why it's incomplete and what you need to do to complete it. But if you read that and you're unsure of what's happening or you feel like there's a mistake, you can also reach out to us and we'll be happy to check that for you. And there's many different ways that you can stay connected with us. You can email us at delawarelaw@widener.edu. You can contact the office. We also offer virtual office hours, which is through Zoom. So you can pop in during office hours and you can see what those are through our website. And you can chat with one of our admissions counselors. It's for people typically if they have a quick question they want to get answered, or they're trying to gather more information and they're free during their virtual office hours. It's a quick and easy way to get your questions answered by an expert. And I do want to do a quick plug for those of you that maybe haven't RSVP'd yet for this Saturday. You so can. It's going to be our in-person information session from 9:30 to 12. There will be a mock class taught by Dean Todd Clark, the Dean of our law school. I cannot stress enough how exciting Dean Clark is as a professor. I guarantee if you sit through his class, you will absolutely want to be at Delaware Law School. There's also a panel discussion with current students, so you can ask current students what it's like to be a law student there, and maybe ask them questions about their application process, what they did to be admitted, and what advice they have for you as you're crafting your application. So you can scan the QR code. Registration will close tomorrow at midnight. Tomorrow is January 23rd is tomorrow. You can RSVP until then. So we hope that you'll be able to join us. And it looks like the bad weather that we're hearing will come well after we're done. So that shouldn't be affected. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about anything that we just covered.
Eric, so
And I
thank
know,
you for. Oh,
oh, sorry. I just wanted to let everyone know that we did go a little bit over. We just had so much to cover, and we also we love what we do. We love, being able to share this information. But for folks who do have to jump off, know that we will be posting the recording on our website soon. But we are all happy to stay on to answer all the questions that you have. So go ahead, Steve.
Absolutely.
so Eric, just going off the chat, thank you for the information. Related to the information you provided, we have a question regarding the GRE. So this prospective student's looking to, I'm assuming, submit the GRE, and they have a question of, have we seen applicants with GREs have strong outcomes through the admission process?
There have been people who applied with a GRE and a JD Next who have been admitted to the law school. Again, most of our applicants, about 98%, are applying with an LSAT. So it's a very small population of people that are applying with either a GRE or a JD Next. And so there are people who have been admitted on the strength of their application, including that standardized test, and some that have been denied. But it is possible to be admitted. And Dean Gardner had mentioned earlier about the merit scholarships. Whether you're admitted as an LSAT applicant, JD Next, or GRE, you will be considered for an offered merit scholarship as well. Looks like we have a bunch of questions. Oh, did you have another question, Steve, for me?
Yeah, just one more before we jump to the in-person. So regards to addenda, if you had a tough semester in undergrad followed by a large increase in your LSAT score, would you recommend addressing both in the addenda?
Probably. I think it would depend. I think particularly with the grades, it is helpful to know what's happening there. And again, it can be a very simple explanation. It was an illness. There was a family emergency. Some people may have lost their financial aid and had to take a job. Something in life happened that caused them to lose focus. It can be really helpful to understand that. So when we're looking at your overall grades, we can confidently say that particular semester is really not indicative of what they're capable of. With the LSAT improvement, I think it depends on what you're going to tell us. So for instance, I wouldn't recommend writing a statement that says, I didn't study the first time because I wanted to see how it went. And then if I didn't do well, I'd study. That's not helpful. That's not helpful to you to write that. But maybe you change the way that you prepared for the LSAT, or you were able to devote more time to your preparation than previously. That can be helpful, and that might be something that you want to include in an addendum. All right, so I see a few hands up. I'm going to go with, looks in the order that I have it. I have Dana, then Gabriella, and then Mary Catherine. So we'll start with Dana.
Hello. So
Hi,
I
Dana.
wanted to know, I'm currently a senior at Widener University, but every year completed sorry, trying to make this make sense. Every December completes a year for me. So I'm finished classes this December, but I don't walk till May because they don't have like the graduation for December. So I was wondering, I would still be able to apply for the 2027 application.
Do you want to start in 2026, or do you want to wait till 2027? What do you want to do?
Is there a possibility to start in 2026?
As long as you have, I'm sorry, are you saying that you're graduating, that you're finished this December 2025, or you're finishing December 2026?
I'm finishing December 2026, the end of this year, but I don't walk till May 2027.
Gotcha. My apologies. I thought you meant you just finished in December of 2025. So
Yeah.
so you can start law school as long as you have your degree by the time you would start classes. So
Okay.
if you've completed the requirements to receive a degree in December of 2026, and you're marching in May of 2027, you're not starting classes until August 2027. So that's fine. You can start in 2027. You wouldn't be awarded a bachelor's degree from Widener until fall 2026 has already begun for us. So you wouldn't be eligible for 2026, but you would absolutely be eligible to start in 2027.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Gabriella, how can we help you?
Hi.
Hello. Oop, I'm actually not able to hear you. You're cutting in. I'm not hearing you. It says you're unmuted, but I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I did hear that. Yeah. Oh no, we lost you again. I'm sorry. It sounds like you're going in and out, so I'm not hearing most of what you're saying. No.
If you want to
If
try
you,
putting in the chat, we can try to do it that way. We can work
yeah,
around
why
the
don't you
technical.
type your question in the chat and then I'll address it there. I'm sorry. There's something going on with the sound, but I'll address it if you put it in the chat there. We can go on to Mary Catherine and then to Kaya.
Okay, I'm gonna try to combine my question. So as of right now, I am currently taking the April LSAT. Is
Mhm.
there anything specifically that from admissions you think maybe it's too late to apply with an April LSAT, or is there a possibility of not starting in the fall, but the next semester? Does that make sense? Of
Mhm.
what is that, spring for law school?
So we only offer admission to new students in the fall. So if you're not offered admission for fall of 2026, the next semester that you'd be eligible to apply for would be fall of 2027. What I would recommend if you're taking the April LSAT, if everything else in your application is ready, you've written your personal statement, you feel like everything else is ready to go, I would submit your application so that the last thing that we're waiting for is your LSAT score. And that way, as soon as that score comes in, which I think for April I think it's probably the last week in April is when it's actually being released.
Yeah.
We can submit the file to the committee right away. It would probably be too late for TAP consideration. I'm almost positive TAP would be filled by then. There may still be seats. I mean, we're typically able to offer still some seats for the fall if you're competitive. But as the closer you get to that deadline, the harder it is because there are fewer seats, so it does become more competitive. But I would recommend, I definitely wouldn't wait until you get your score and then submit your application because then you're probably not going to be looked at until early June. Whereas if you get everything else in first
Yeah.
and then we get your score at the end of April, you could be reviewed in sometime in early May.
Okay.
Does that answer
Thank
your
you so much.
question? Sure, you're welcome.
Yes.
Kaya, you have a question for us? And then
Yes,
I'll
so
go to Gabrielle.
I was wondering, is there do y'all have any like commitment to people from the state? Because I'm out of state from Georgia, so I want to know, is it more competitive being that I'm out of state applying to Delaware, or is it equal level playing field? Because I know certain law schools they have a where they like to at least admit 50% of people from that state or from the undergrad school first before they submit people from out of state or people that didn't go from the school.
Right, that's a great question. We are a private law school, so we don't look at applications from the state of Delaware any differently than we look at out of state. So no, there wouldn't be a different process for you than somebody applying from a school in or a resident of the state of Delaware. Everybody will be looked at the same in regards to geography.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And Gabriella, I see your question. Um, this is a question for here, my actual this application process. Actually, so it's funny, you're talking about the 3+3 program with Immaculata. I think we're actually coming to your school very soon. So if you can wait, we're actually going to be coming. We can certainly meet with you one-on-one because we're actually coming to Immaculata soon to talk to students about that program. So we'll be able to to answer the question, because it is a little bit different for you if you're applying as a 3+3 student than the sort of traditional. There's an earlier deadline. Your application has to be submitted and complete and ready for review by April 1st. So it is a little bit sooner. And that means everything has to be in, including your LSAT scores, your transcripts, all of that has to be in by April 1st. But we're going to be coming, I don't know the date yet, but very soon to your school, and we'll be happy to meet with you and talk to you about that. Are there any other questions about the application process or anything else that was discussed tonight that maybe we didn't get to from the first
Hello.
section?
Hi, my name is Candice. I am going to be applying to the part-time evening program. I just wanted to
Great.
know I mean, it may not be determined yet, but what classes or what days are specifically online, and will that hybrid program continue? Because I just read something on your website where it wasn't, it may not be continued, but just
Mhm.
Yeah, so I can jump in on this one. So I can say that we just got our fall grades back for our students, and we were waiting for that to see, if it's something that the program was going to be something that we continue because it was working. I will tell you that anecdotally, faculty really love it, students really love it, so I'm really hopeful that it will continue. But the reason we hadn't made an announcement about whether or not it will continue yet is because we want to give our faculty an opportunity to look at those fall grades and make sure that that lines up with what we're all seeing and feeling, which is that it's really been a great opportunity that we hope to continue. So we should have more information soon. I'm hopeful that we will have it at some point this spring semester so that you all can plan, especially if you're looking for to join us starting in the fall. The way that the hybrid program works now, and it would continue this way if we continue it, is there is just a day you have that's remote learning. So it isn't just one course, it's one day. Whatever courses you have that fall on that day, you would be meeting by Zoom. And so the reason it was set up that way is so, we could really, again, expand access for our part-time students who are usually working during the day. They have other life commitments. And we hope that by cutting down one less night they have to be on campus just really helps them, with that balance. Historically, the classes have been Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And for our pilot program, those are the evening classes dates. For our pilot program, the Thursday was the remote day. And again, everything I have heard feedback wise from faculty and students is that that's been really great. And it's been, same standards as they would have in in-person classes if they were every night um, of the week. So we'll have more soon. So stay tuned for that. And we definitely will be posting that on our website and sharing that with folks when we know.
Thank you, Dean Gardner. And I'm happy to report that during the course of this event tonight, 2 of you have registered for Saturday. So that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. And hopefully more of you will do that as well, because it's a great opportunity to see some of what we've talked about tonight in action and meet more of the Delaware law community, including Dean Clark. Yeah. And I stand by my statement. If you see Dean Clark teach, you will absolutely want to be at Delaware Law School.
Absolutely. So with that, again, I really want to just say thank you to everybody who hung on with us and stayed a little late. I know we went over, but I hope that was worth it because we had a lot of great questions, a lot of great information. I hope you learned a lot. If you do have additional questions or you think of something later, please reach out to any one of us who are on this call tonight. Anyone in our office is happy to help you. And as Eric said, as we were all saying, if you can make it to campus on Saturday, we would love to meet you in person. We would love to continue introducing you to who we are in our community. And Dean Clark is just a rock star, so you're not going to want to miss it. But with that, I will let everybody enjoy the rest of their evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.